Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining me for another episode of Reconnect to Your Greatness. I have with me today Brad Rowe. Brad, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing today?
I'm feeling great. Ladies and gentlemen that might not be familiar with Brad or can't tell based on his physique, Brad Rowe is a retired IFBB professional bodybuilder. He's a certified personal trainer, and he's a life enhancement coach who works with some of the top name individuals in the industry to help them to live healthier and happier lives and reconnect with their greatness. So Brad, let's kick it over to you, man. Share with the listeners who may not be from the bodybuilding space like you and I are, a little bit about kind of your background and where you came from.
So born and raised in the Northeast. I was an athlete my whole life. Went to college, studied biomedical science, thought I was going to be a doctor, and life kind of just throws things at you. And so the direction of my life changed a little bit. And I got introduced to the health and fitness world, and I started getting ready for bodybuilding shows, competing, doing fitness modeling. And I kind of gave myself a 3-year window of opportunity to try to find success within that realm. And I was fortunate enough to kind of give a go at it. You know, I wasn't rich by any means, but I was able to pay the bills and do something I loved that I was really passionate about. So I put about over the last decade into dedicating myself to being a professional bodybuilder and a trainer, fitness model, trying to build my own brand. And everything kind of came to a halt about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago now, when I finally hung up the trunks and moved on to the next chapter of my life.
Yeah, well, there's certainly a lot that we'll be able to kind of glean from that life transition. I want to dive into that, but I didn't know that you had originally studied biomedicine or biomedical. Like, you really wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah. I had my master's in biomedical science. I went to a graduate program at Drexel University in Philadelphia that was designated to get people into medical school. So most of our classes were all first-year med classes. I did really well. I just was poor as hell. And it's like, kids, it is unbelievable how much it costs to apply to like medical school. I was gonna have to dish out like $6,000 or $7,000 in application fees just to even apply. And I didn't have that kind of money. So when I graduated from grad school, I went back and I was a construction worker. You know, there I am slinging a hammer with a master's degree, because it was actually would make me more money than working in the laboratory. Doing things that my education could get me into right away. And then that's kind of how I was the ultimate warrior one year for Halloween. And this fitness model agency found me. They saw my MySpace profile pic, asked me if I was interested. I was like, hey, if things pay, I'm always open to opportunities, and led me on this path.
Wow, man, that's incredible. And it sounds like from a young age, right, or certainly an important age in your life, kind of in that college realm, you vulnerably and humbly accepted, hey, I'm going to do what it is I need to do to pay my bills while continuing to work on maybe my more long-term goals.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a blue collar family, commercial fishermen and factory workers. So, I mean, the second I could move, I had to have a job. I had to try to support myself. I was doing odds and ends jobs by age 11. I worked every single spring break, summer break, winter break, you name it. I didn't have a traditional childhood. It was either sports, working, school, and I was doing all at the same time.
Yeah, wow, it's incredible. I grew up in Binghamton, New York, small town in upstate New York, and it was about as blue collar. Sounds a lot like
I know, but my dad was there for a little bit. He was a horse trainer, and he was up in Binghamton for about 1 year till he got fired.
Oh, okay, small world, man. So yeah, it's it raises us with some incredible work ethic, and at the same time can create some mental programming of like, I'm only worthy if I'm making these accomplishments, and maybe we can dive into that a little bit later. So you reached this inflection point in your life. Let's continue on from there. What's this inflection point of maybe realizing, hey, bodybuilding, I did the most that I'm going to do with it as a professional? Where does your life go from there?
Yeah, so it came to a point where I knew I was going to retire early. I come up with this concept that I wanted to open up this life enhancement center. This all under one roof facility that takes care of mind, body, and spirit to truly make you the best version of yourself. So I'd been working with a business partner to get a business plan going. I had landed some investors. So I knew that when this was going to open, I needed to downsize. Walking around at 260 pounds, all bloated, being a bodybuilder doesn't scream health and wellness. So I knew that when the facility was about to open, that it was going to be time for me to downsize. And then life threw something at me, and my wife, or ex-wife now, asked for a divorce, and that kind of sent me down this downward spiral. And at that moment, I realized that I could do one of two things. I could put my head down and pick a show and bury all that pain, bury all that emotion, and just focus on competing and not deal with the pain and not deal with healing myself and become a better version of myself. Or I say, get rid of one of the biggest passions I have, probably the biggest distraction I have, and focus on myself. And that's my approach. That's why I retired about a year and a half, 2 years earlier than I had even planned on.
Wow. Dude, that is so powerful. Can you kind of take, because many people have been at that point in their life, right, where they reach that crossroads and they can either make the healthier choice or the maybe not so healthy choice, and there's no judgment there. We all have free will to make our own decision. What was it, Brad? Like, was there this internal knowingness where you were just like, nah, I've got to make the healing journey?
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the man I was. I was an amazing man. Don't get me wrong. I was a worker. I was a provider. I was a protector. I checked off all the boxes of what a man was supposed to do, but I wasn't open. I wasn't there. I wasn't available for myself. I didn't love myself. I knew that that my existence wasn't the existence that I was meant for. I just had this deep down feeling, and I knew that I needed to do something to make drastic change within my life. I used to tell my ex-wife all the time, I was like, I'm just never going to be happy. That's just not me. I'm not meant for happiness, And I used to tell her she'd be better off without me all the time, because I was just this grumpy grinder, just work. That's all I cared about was kill yourself now. And, so I knew that something internally was wired wrong, and I didn't want to live the rest of my life like that. And the pain that I felt when this woman left me was so unbelievable that it just wasn't normal pain. I knew that I had to been dealing with something, and sure enough, we all have these childhood traumas that force us to think and feel a certain way. Even people with some of the most amazing childhoods still have these traumas that they don't realize that force them to navigate life a particular way. And I needed to face those so I can become a better version for myself.
Yeah, so much respect, man, to have that level of self-awareness. To whatever extent you feel comfortable, because there's probably a lot of other men out there like us, and women too, right? That are coming from this, hey, this is what I grew up in, this is how I was supposed to be. And I'm realizing now I am not happy so much with many aspects of how that programming worked for me. What advice or, I guess just vulnerability do you have to share with them when they're kind of at that realization? Because that's a pretty powerful and scary realization of, hey, I'm not happy with who I've become or maybe where I'm at in certain aspects.
I think it's just, one of the biggest things is breaking this stigma, that we talked about, that especially as men, we're not supposed to be vulnerable. We're not supposed to feel pain. We're not supposed to be emotional. We're just supposed to be robots. And that's all bullshit. We're human beings. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love hard. I'm a caregiver. I love to take care of people. So here I was with knowing that I have all these loving emotions, but then I have to bury everything and act like this tough guy, like nothing ever happens, nothing ever bothers me. And I just knew that wasn't right. And so it's just figuring out how to overcome that. And, truly from my standpoint, I was very fortunate. I was introduced to the world of plant-based medicine with some people in my life that are, some of the leaders in that industry. And it kind of really fast forwarded the entire process for me. Obviously I knew there was issues, but I couldn't pinpoint what those issues were, were they, so I'm one of those guys. Backstory in my life, I was raised by a single mom. I'm an only child. My dad was in and out of my life. I love my dad, and I'm at this point where we've healed, we've moved on. But my dad, he came out of the closet when I was 2 years old. So here's a man who came out as gay in the Northeast in the 1980s. That was not accepted. My own grandfather did not accept him, kicked him out of the house, didn't want anything to do with it, didn't talk to him for like 8 years. So my dad was dealing with his own shit, and he didn't know how to deal with it. He took off, so he wasn't present in my life. And when he was, it was all about what he wanted me to do, and it was never really. I never felt like he was in it for me, for loving me. So, but I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew I had those issues, but I didn't know how strong of a driving factor that was. That all I wanted in life was just the acceptance from my father and to love me. So through the medicine, man, I was able to go back to like moments of my childhood, particular moments. Like I remember this one moment where his particular lover at the time, my dad was a horse trainer, blue collar guy. So when I went to his house and spent the weekends with him, it was fucking work. I was on the horse farm at 6 a.m. in the morning, freezing in the winter, sweating in the summer. So it wasn't even enjoyable. And I remember one morning it was freezing. I was probably like 9 years old. And I was like, I want to stay home today. And his partner looked at me and looked at my father and said, he's lazy. He's never going to make it to anything in life. That moment, made me the hardest working motherfucker you will ever meet. Because I said from that moment on, no one will ever call me lazy. And I totally forgot about that, in my conscious mind, but into my subconscious mind, that's what drove me. And the medicine allowed me to go back and relive that singular moment. And I realized that this guy was a loser. He didn't have anything in his life. Why am I allowing this person that has no impact on my life whatsoever impact my entire life? So that's the beauty of the medicine, is it really allows you to dig down deep and find those moments where you could move on and sever those ties of those things that no longer serve you in life and move forward.
Yeah, so powerful, man. I really appreciate your vulnerability to share that. So, I think that when we can change life from happening to us to for us, that's when we really can become empowered. It sounded like you did it right there. So how does that shift for Brad to have 9-year-old Brad be healed? Whether that's through plant-based medicine or therapy or whatever the case may be, right? So how does your life shift? Share with the viewers and the listeners, hey, this is what you have to look forward to when you make that shift.
I wake up every day happy, truly. I mean, it took a long time to get there. Through my divorce it was truly a lot of people go through a lot of shit in life, but for me, it crippled me because I had built up my entire life. My only measure of success was being a good family man and being a good father. Obviously, not having a father in my life, I wanted to be a father so bad. So there I did. I failed at I thought I failed at what was the most important thing in my life, being a father and being a husband. I didn't get to be a father because I didn't knock the husband part out of the park yet. So I felt like I was a complete failure. And, through that journey, I was able to find myself. I was able to find that little 9-year-old boy who was traumatized and, just express to him that he's okay, that he is loved, that he is enough, that he is good enough. And it's those continuous things you just have to tell yourself over and over again. I am good enough. I am a whole being. I am a loving spirit. And if you can get to that point where you can truly, truly be happy within yourself, you can wake up every day and be so grateful for everything the world provides. I'm at a position in my life right now where I had a huge opportunity leave at the beginning of this year. I lost a major investment deal on my life enhancement center. And normally that would have just absolutely crippled me and buried me because I would have felt like an absolute failure. And you hit a point in gratitude in life, where everything comes back to gratitude. Everything comes back to gratitude. Whenever you're having a bad day, just sit down and think of 5 things you're grateful for. Think of 5 moments within your life where you were extremely happy and relive that happiness. Yeah. And if you can do that, you can pull yourself out of any muck, shitty feeling, bad day that you have. So if you can just continue to come back to gratitude and continue to love yourself, then you can wake up happy every day.
Yeah. Love it, man. Yeah. The two points there, right? Number one, realizing we are love, we are enough, just inherent, doesn't matter what it's not tied to anything external. We internally are love if we are enough. And it sounds like once you kind of had that realization, it was like, oh wow, now I can breathe easier. That weight is lifted off my shoulder.
Right. And I think one of the key factors too is how can you be of service to others, in a way, little things, little gestures, smiling at people, getting people to feel comfortable, to feel seen in life. Just those simple little gestures, not only is going to make a major impact on someone else's life, but it's going to bring so much joy to your life. Like I remember I used to be the biggest introvert. I was so afraid of people. I'd go to parties when I was in high school and college, and I would be literally in the woods shitting and puking my brains out because I'd get anxiety so bad that I had to be around people. Getting on an elevator and someone walking in was like death to me. And now I'm at a point where like, I absolutely love talking to strangers. I love going up to a cashier and making her smile or making their day and giving them compliments and just watching people glow with your interaction. Yeah. And I think if you can just do that throughout your day, you're making a much bigger impact on the world, and it's going to make you a much happier individual as well.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. I say to people like if we continue to drink out of our cup and we don't refill it, particularly with self-love, we don't have that love to give to other people, right? It sounds like you've really figured out how to do that.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest detriments, because I'm a giver. I'm a lover. I want to do everything for everybody in my life, but I never did anything for me, and I never filled myself up. And that's why I was a miserable, grumpy prick running around, but I would go out of my way, give my shirt off my back for anybody. But I just continuously drain myself, because I didn't think I was allowed to fill myself, to take time for myself, and I still struggle with that even once in a while. Like if I have nothing to do for an hour and a half, it's like, well, shit, if I sit around and watch TV, then I'm lazy. I'm not reaching my goals. And it's like, whoa. You're okay where you're at right now. Just take a breath, enjoy this moment, have a snack, enjoy a TV show. Do something that you love, that makes you happy in that moment.
Yeah. How do you make that shift to allow yourself?
It's a tough one. I'm still working
on. Me too.
I really am. One of the biggest tricks that I'm finding right now is, I'm in this mindset of my life right now where if it doesn't make me healthier, happier, or make me money, then I really don't want any part of it. So like if I have downtime, I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of like biohacking tools and stuff in my house. Like I might have like a 2.5 hour gap in the middle of my day. And normally, I'd just come home and like sit down and watch TV and feel miserable. But like I'll hop in my hyperbaric chamber, or, I'll do some like recovery modality that's going to make me healthier. So that way I know that, hey, I'm not just wasting this time. Right. I'm doing things like meditation and breath work and some other recovery modalities that are making me a better human and making me a healthier human. And so that's kind of how I'm allowing myself to just relax and enjoy the moment and not get so overrun with anxiety that I'm kind of like sitting still.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm hearing you say like, I just figured out a way to integrate it into my life, to make it a part of my life.
Right. It was like reading, I really wanted to start reading this year again. Well, I never read through college. I was one of those people that waited to the very last moment to study for 72 hours straight in the library before an exam. And this year I was like, I need to start enriching myself. How do I do it? Every time I sit down and start reading a paragraph, I start falling asleep. So what I do, I get on the spin bike and I sit there on the spin bike in the gym and I read for a half hour in the morning. And then I go back and I read for another half hour in the evening. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm moving, getting some activity in, and I'm enriching my brain by reading.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff, man. That's great. That's the actionable strategies that people can use. So now let's dive into some of this spiritual journey a little bit more. Share with the listeners and the viewers maybe some of these other realizations that you had, or how kind of releasing the ego and getting in touch with your soul can be transformative.
I think one of the most powerful moments during my journey was, for me, my whole life, I considered myself atheist, if not somewhat agnostic. I wasn't raised religious whatsoever. My parents believed that, you know, when I got older, I could make that decision of what I wanted in life. I believe that I had every bit of strength within me to handle any situation in the world. That I didn't need to pray to this deity, to something, to, you know, to have. To me, I saw it almost like a storybook, like children's books. That's what I saw religion as. And then I had this moment when I was on one of my journeys where I was laying there and this woman was playing this music in a sound bath. And all of a sudden this energy just appeared above me. And God, I remember I just heard this voice and it says, Brad, I'm here for you. I've always been here for you. And your undying belief in yourself was actually belief in me because I created you as you are. And it was like, I literally bawled my eyes out for like an hour straight. Just like, that was my moment, you know, that, and I don't care what you call God, Allah, God, whatever.
Yeah.
There is something greater out there, you know, and finally it came down and touched me and made me realize that, you know, I'm not always in control, and that, you know, there is something out there that looks over me and takes care of me. And that it was right. You know, my belief in myself was actually belief in him because, you know, he was my creator. So
Right.
I think that was one of the most profound moments that I had throughout this whole experience.
Wow, man. That is incredible. That is like, I got the chills as you were sharing
I
that.
almost cry. I'm surprised. I almost cry every time I tell that story. I'm surprised it was close.
Yeah, wow. And so, you know, maybe that's a powerful experience and you'd never be able to really truly put it into words what that feeling was like.
Right.
I get that. But you know, what might another one of those experiences be where one of the listeners can connect with and be like, oh, okay, I had something kind of similar like that. Like maybe some other experiences in your day-to-day life, little synchronicities where you're like, that's God, that's my higher power.
Yeah. You know, so as I said, my investors had walked away, and, you know, I believe, you know, at this point in my life, I really believe in energy, and I believe in kind of listening to the signs of the universe and the world. And I had an opportunity to do something in New York, and New York wasn't it was like last on my list where I wanted to be in New York City. But the opportunity presented itself, and it was something that I could have funded by myself. And I just, you know, I was dealing with all these brokers and SBA loan people, just hustling, just trying to get everything together in like this 2-week span that I had. And it just seemed like every corner I turned, it was like getting punched in the face and punched in the face. And they're like, this hurdle to jump, that hurdle to jump. And no matter how much I wanted this dream of mine, I just hit a moment and I was like, the universe is telling me something. You know, the universe is saying, hey, maybe we should just back off a little bit. But the old me, before I went through this, I wouldn't have fucking listened. I just kept barreling through every single wall that got my way, you know? And who knows where I'd be right now. It could have been a success where I could have been upside down, stuck in New York City, miserable for, you know, the next 6 or 7 years till I went bankrupt. But that was one of the first times that, like, I truly just started seeing everything fall apart. Like, even just like my mindset, like drivers were acting crazy. I was getting cut off, almost got in accidents a bunch of times that whole week. Just everything was chaotic. And the second I finally said, no, I'm walking away from it, it was like peace and calmness reigned back in the world, you know? And that was one of the strongholds of having faith in the universe and knowing that there's a higher power guiding me there.
Right. Yeah. And to have that awareness of to say ego, no, we don't need you.
Right.
I don't need to keep pressing forward, right? Goodbye, ego, you know,
Right.
and really follow your soul, man. That's powerful. How can other people start to do that? You know, in many ways, in big ways and in small ways. How can people start to, you know, release the ego and connect with their higher selves?
I think one of the biggest things for my daily practice that I've kind of adopted in my life. So I'm really big on morning routines. Always have been. Even before I got into the spiritual thing, it was like every morning I wake up, I clean my entire house. You know, I have a drink ritual, pill ritual, everything. Like I'm neurotic in the morning. And so now I started introducing, like, I wake up, I do like a 10 or 12 minute breath work series, followed up by about a 10 or 15-minute meditation series. And then I hop in a cold shower. And so you're doing these things to really just ground yourself and center yourself first thing in the morning, so that way you're starting your day in peace and at one with yourself. And it's frustrating. It's hard. You know, there's a lot of good apps out there for meditation stuff. And I even struggle. I mean, if I can get through 2 minutes without my monkey mind going a million miles an hour, that's a win for me that day. But there's a lot of apps out there like Still Life. There's another one called Waking Up that's good. And these are just guided meditations where you can just kind of listen to this person and they walk you through it instead of just sitting there completely blank. And then all of a sudden your mind starts racing off 100 miles an hour. So just picking up little practices like that. And again, you know, just every morning when you wake up, finding a few things that you're grateful for. And if you can do that, I think that's really going to help ground yourself, bring you a lot more peace and happiness within your life. You know, that's going to help carry you through your day and make you a little more clear-headed to make smart decisions throughout your day.
Yeah. Would you say that finding gratitude, even in what may have been the lowest moments of your life, but finding gratitude in those moments makes finding gratitude in all the other moments seem like that much easier?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, when you're hit your absolute hardest, and if you can find anything to be grateful for to pull yourself out just the littlest bit. I mean, we all have things to be grateful for. I don't care what your situation is in the world. There's someone out there that has it a lot worse than you do. You know, so you can find the simplest things, whether it's a favorite pair of socks that you have, you know, or a coffee mug, or that one friend or one family member that's there for you. Everybody has something or someone in their lives to be grateful for. And if you can just continue to focus on those and forget about everything that's not going right in our life, then it's going to make everything go a lot smoother.
Yeah, love it, man. So this Life Enhancement Center, share with the listeners. I get so excited about it, man, because it's right in my wheelhouse. Share with the listeners and the viewers, you know, what your vision is, what your mission is with this Life Enhancement Center.
So the initial one will kind of be like a large high-end performance center, but on using in that performance center, lots of high technology, like the newbie machine that I use to train and rehab all my clients. There's a lot of other devices out there and machinery that make training a lot more efficient, reduce wear and tear on your body, getting the most out of it. And then you have an entire recovery center with all these biohacking modalities like hyperbaric chambers, infrared saunas, red light therapies, ozone therapy. So everything to not only make you healthier, but to truly try to reverse your DNA age, to make you younger from a cellular level. Right. And then you'll have the regenerative medicine side of things. So like stem cells, PRP, we'll do like non-surgical cosmetics, you know, they got to look good. So I need my Botox and my laser facials and stuff like that. And then there'll be a spiritual side of things. So we'll have like float tanks, breath work, meditation classes, yoga, and all in this high-end facility. So it's a one-stop shop for everything you need to make yourself better physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. And you know, I think, Brad, what attracts your energy, which attracted me the most, which really made me want to connect with you, is people look at you, guy like you, right? You're in fantastic shape, good looking guy. You know, you've worked with some of the top name people, right? You've been in movies. I saw you posted on IG. You were the Sylvester Stallone, right? Like, you know, people looking and just being like, this guy's got it all together. Oh, he's got everything perfect. He's got life figured out. And you're like, you know what? I didn't have life figured out.
You know what? And that's, so I have some really great clients in my life that are really successful. And a couple of them, they were on my shit. They're like, Brad, they're like, you are immortal to some people. They don't want to hear that you have mortal problems. They want to idolize you. And I was like, no, that's the complete opposite. Someone like me, people need to know that I struggle, that I'm in pain, that I hurt, that I'm depressed, that I'm suicidal. Because if they can see someone like me and realize that this guy looks like he has it all, but he struggles, then I'm okay. I'm not alone, you know, and that's a message. People need to realize that they're not alone. Our biggest issue that we have in the world right now is mental health crisis. I mean, there is no bigger issue right now in this world than the mental health crisis.
Yeah.
So, you know, we need more people to step up. I love seeing some of these professional athletes now that are finally stepping up and talking about their mental health issues and stepping away from the game to work on themselves, because that was so taboo back in the day. And they're still getting backlash by a lot of media, you know, and it's just, you know, we need to start protecting the mind and the heart to become a better society, because unfortunately, we're being led by hatred and violence right now. And it's a scary place. So every one of us, if we can just lead by love and lead by compassion a little more, then we're going to make a better world.
Yeah. Amen, man. Yeah. Mental health crisis. And I think in many ways, a spiritual crisis where we're really being disconnected from our higher power and that which exists inside of us. So, yeah, I hope the listeners and viewers really take some time, and I'm going to have Brad share some of his contact information, but, I just want everybody to understand that although where you see Brad in this moment, if you go back and dive in and really follow some of his content, you'll see his journey. And it's an incredible journey. He's incredibly vulnerable, and he really shares his ups and downs. And I agree, Brad, vulnerability is that meeting ground where real human connection and love and relationship can occur. And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story, man. It's inspiring.
I truly thank you for having me on, and hope that we can at least impact one person's life, and that's a win.
Yeah, for sure. So share with the listeners, and we're also going to call out into the universe some investors or some door openings for this center which you have in your mind, body, and soul. So hopefully we can get some of that. How do people get in touch with you?
The best way is through Instagram. It's Brad B. Rowe, ROWE. So if you go through there, you can either message me there or my emails and that. And that's kind of the greatest outlet for me there.
Okay, awesome. And Brad, any last message that you want to share with the listeners and the viewers?
Find your passion. Find your passion and find your purpose in life. And find gratitude. And that's going to make you live a long, happy life.
Yeah. Gratitude, man. It all comes back to gratitude, right?
And purpose. Not having purpose in life is hard, and that purpose may be volunteering here and there, or it may be, teaching someone some little thing. But if you go through life without having purpose, then you're kind of a lost soul. So find purpose, find gratitude, and you're good to go.
Love it. Awesome, man. Brad, thank you so much. In the show notes, everybody will have Brad's contact information, but man, we need more conversations like this going on in the world. So appreciate your vulnerability. Thank you so much, Brad.
I truly thank you.
All right.